At Sunday brunch, my fiancée looked me in the eye and said, "I'm calling off the wedding. I don't love you anymore." She said it right there in front of her three closest friends. And somehow, the strangest part was how calm I felt. I looked at her, took a breath, and said, "Thank you for being honest." Then I held out my hand. "The ring, please." For context, I'm 31. She's 29. We had been together for 4 years, engaged for 8 months, and the wedding was supposed to happen in 6 weeks. As far as I knew, everything between us was fine. That morning, she suggested brunch with her closest friends. She said it would be casual, relaxed, just a fun Sunday. Nothing serious. I agreed. So there we were at a nice restaurant, mimosas on the table, everyone laughing, and the conversation had turned to bridesmaid dresses. Then, right in the middle of it, she went completely quiet. Not a little quiet. Dead silent. One of her friends noticed first and asked, "Are you okay?" My fiancée took a long breath and turned toward me. "I need to say something." In that split second, my mind went everywhere. Maybe she was pregnant. Maybe she wanted to change the venue. Maybe there was some last-minute wedding drama. "Nope," she said. "I can't do this anymore. I'm calling off the wedding. I don't love you anymore." Just like that. At brunch. In front of her friends. With the waiter literally walking up with my eggs Benedict. Her friends gasped. One of them covered her mouth. Another whispered, "Oh my God, are you serious?" I just sat there for about 10 seconds, trying to process what had happened. Then this strange calm came over me. I said, "Thank you for your honesty." Then I extended my hand. "The ring, please." She blinked at me. "What?" "The engagement ring." I said, "It's mine." More accurately, it was my grandmother's. I like it back. Her friends were watching like they had front row seats to a reality show. Slowly, she pulled off the ring and handed it to me. I put it in my pocket and stood up. "Well," I said, "this changes the plan. I was going to host a wedding reception in 6 weeks. Instead, I'll be throwing a dodged a bullet party. Same venue, same catering, same open bar. You're all still invited." Her friends actually giggled. They thought I was joking. So I added, "Oh, and about the wedding expenses? The $62,000 in deposits you insisted on putting in your name because you wanted to prove you were an independent modern woman? Those are yours now. Good luck with that." The giggling stopped instantly. "And you'll need to move out of my apartment by the end of the month," I continued, "since you refused to sign a lease." Her face went white. "Wait," she said. "What?" I shrugged. "Your name is on everything. The venue deposit, the caterer, the photographer, the flowers. Remember? You insisted. You said it was important for your credit and your independence. So congratulations on your independence." One of her friends whispered, "Oh no. And one more thing." I took out my phone. My uncle was going to give us $150,000 as a wedding gift. It was already arranged, but that was dependent on us actually getting married. So that's gone too. I put $40 on the table for the food I had not touched. Enjoy brunch, ladies. I've got a party to plan. Then I walked out. I sat in my car for 20 minutes afterward. That was when my hands finally started shaking. But I meant every word. 3 days later, the fallout was unbelievable. About 2 hours after I left brunch, my phone started exploding. Her friends, her mother, her sister, everyone. Her mother called first. "You can't just abandon her with all that debt," she said. "You two were planning a wedding. That money was for both of you." "She called off the wedding," I said. "The expenses were in her name because she insisted on it. I'm not legally or morally responsible for paying for a wedding that isn't happening. She made those deposits because she assumed you would help. She made those deposits because she assumed we were getting married. Then she ended the engagement. Consequences exist." Her mother started crying, called me heartless, and hung up. Then her sister texted me. "She's having a panic attack. The wedding costs are going to destroy her financially. Are you really going to let that happen?" I replied, "Is she really going to call off a wedding in public and still expect me to fund it? Yes, I'm going to let that happen." Then I blocked her sister. On Monday, my ex showed up at my apartment building. I have cameras, so I watched her buzz my unit over and over for 15 minutes before I finally answered the intercom. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't. Please. I made a mistake. I was overwhelmed. We can work this out." You don't love me anymore. Remember? You said that yesterday at brunch. I didn't mean it like that. I was scared. You meant it enough to say it in front of your friends. You meant it enough to blindside me in a restaurant. You own those words. Then she said what she really came to say. What about the wedding costs? What about them? You have to help me. I can't afford $62,000 in debt. You should have thought about that before calling off the wedding. This is financial abuse. I actually laughed. Financial abuse? You put everything in your name. You made that decision. I'm simply not rescuing you from the consequences. I'll sue you. For what? Not marrying you? Good luck. She stayed outside, crying for another 10 minutes before she finally left. On Tuesday, her best friend called me. The maid of honor. Look, she said, I know she handled this badly, but she's drowning. Can't you help with at least some of the deposits? Why would I do that? Because you loved her. Past tense, right? She ended that on Sunday. She's going to lose her apartment. She can't pay rent and cover these wedding payments. That's unfortunate. How can you be so cold? How could she call off a wedding at brunch? We all make choices. She tried guilt-tripping me for 20 more minutes. Eventually, I told her the conversation was over and hung up. By Wednesday morning, I had an email from a lawyer. Her lawyer. He demanded that I pay my share of the wedding expenses, claiming they were taken on with a mutual understanding of shared financial responsibility. My lawyer responded for me. His answer was simple. She put the expenses in her own name by her own choice. She unilaterally ended the engagement, and there was no shared financial obligation. I would not be engaging further. Her lawyer came back with a longer email, threatening to sue for promissory estoppel and unjust enrichment. My lawyer called me and said, she doesn't have a case. The contracts are in her name, and she ended the engagement. Legally, you're fine. How much will it cost me if she actually sues? I asked, maybe $5,000 to $10,000 if it goes anywhere. But I doubt it will. A judge will probably toss it. Then do it. I said, defend everything. I'm not giving her a cent. The thing everyone kept ignoring was this. She didn't just cancel the wedding. She did it publicly. She chose the place, the audience, and the timing. She humiliated me in front of her friends. And when I said I'd throw a party instead, those same friends laughed. They thought I looked pathetic. But the second they realized she had trapped herself financially, suddenly I was the villain for not saving her. No, she wanted independence. She got it. And yes, the Dodge a Bullet party was still happening. I sent the invitations. About 30 people confirmed. My family, my friends, and even 2 of her friends who privately told me they thought what she did was wrong. I moved the party to a bar. It cost me $800 for the space and appetizers. Much cheaper than $62,000. 10 days later, things got even messier. Her family went all in. Her father somehow got my direct line at work and called me there. To destroy my daughter's life over pride, he said. Your daughter destroyed her own life with her decisions. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. Then people deal with consequences. That's life. I'm offering to mediate, he said. We split the costs. You pay half. She pays half. Clean slate. No, why are you being so stubborn? Because she called off our wedding at brunch in front of her friends for maximum humiliation, and now she wants my money to clean up her mess. That isn't stubbornness. That's self-respect. We can't afford to help her with all of it. We have bills of our own. Then she'll need to figure it out herself, like an independent modern woman. That was when he tried threatening me. He said he knew people. He said I would regret this. I reminded him that I live in a one-party consent state and record my calls. Then I hung up. That Friday, a mutual friend told me what had actually happened. She had been seeing someone else. Not physically, apparently, but emotionally. Some guy from her gym. They had been talking for 3 months. She convinced herself she was in love with him and decided to end our wedding so she could chase her happiness. Then the gym guy found out about the $62,000 in wedding debt and the breakup drama. He ghosted her immediately. So now she was alone, broke, and desperate. The following Monday evening, her sister showed up at my apartment building. She waited in the lobby until I came home from work. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Please. 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat in the lobby. She's falling apart, her sister said. She's lost 12 pounds. She can't sleep. Debt collectors are already calling. That's unfortunate. She knows she screwed up. She knows she hurt you. But this punishment doesn't fit the crime. What punishment? I asked. I'm not doing anything to her. I'm just not rescuing her from her own decisions. You could help. You have the money. I do have money, I said. Money I'm keeping because I didn't call off my own wedding and saddle myself with debt I couldn't afford. She thought you would always be there for her. She was right until she publicly dumped me at brunch. Funny how things change. Then her sister said something so ridiculous I had to stare at her for a second. What about the $150,000 from your uncle? Can't you ask him to give it anyway? You want me to ask my uncle for $150,000 to give to my ex-fiancée, who called off our wedding, so she can pay her wedding debt? She needs help. You're delusional. Truly delusional. You're being cruel. I'm being fair. She made adult choices. Now she gets adult consequences. I stood up. We're done here. Don't come back. She started crying in my lobby. I went upstairs. On Tuesday, I got a Facebook friend request from the gym guy. The guy she had apparently left me for. Curiosity got the better of me, so I accepted. He messaged me almost immediately. Dude, I had no idea she was engaged. She told me she was single. Just wanted you to know. Cool, I replied. Thanks for the information. She's been blowing up my phone. He said, she says you ruined her life. I didn't call off the wedding. Yeah, that's what I figured. She's intense, man. Good luck with whatever's going on. Then he unfriended me. Smart guy. On Wednesday, the legal mess escalated. Her attorney officially filed a lawsuit. Breach of promise, unjust enrichment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The whole menu. My lawyer still wasn't worried. This is a nuisance suit, he said. She's desperate. We'll file to dismiss, and we'll probably win. How much will this cost me? Probably $8,000 to $12,000 if it somehow goes to trial, but I doubt it will. The facts are terrible for her. Do whatever you need to do. On Thursday evening, my ex somehow got into my building. Someone must have held the door open for her. She came straight to my apartment and started banging on the door. Open up. We need to talk. I called building security. They escorted her out while she screamed that I was destroying her life and that she had rights. The building manager called me afterward. Sir, we documented everything. She's now banned from the property. If she tries again, we're calling the police. Thank you, I said. Then he paused and asked, I have to ask, what did you do to her? Didn't marry her. He laughed. Fair enough. Friday was party planning day. Final head count, 32 people. I got the banner printed. Dodged a bullet. Celebration. My mom asked if I was sure about going through with it. She wondered if it might be too harsh. Mom, I said, she called off our wedding at brunch with her friends sitting there. They laughed when I said I'd throw a party instead. Now I'm throwing the party. That isn't harsh. That's follow through. But all this fighting over the money, she put the expenses in her name. She called off the wedding. She's dealing with the results of her choices. I'm not being cruel. I'm just refusing to be a doormat. Mom sighed. Your father thinks you're handling this well, she said. Thanks. The party happened the next day, and it was perfect. 32 people showed up. Friends, family, coworkers, and even a couple of my ex's friends who had privately apologized for not realizing how badly she had handled everything. The banner was a hit. Everyone took photos in front of it. There was an open bar, good food, and a lot of laughter. My best friend gave a toast. To our friend, he said, who didn't just dodge a bullet. He dodged an entire firing squad. And to him having the spine not to pay $62,000 for the privilege of getting dumped at brunch. Everyone cheered. I posted a few pictures on social media. I didn't tag my ex. I didn't mention her by name. They were just celebration photos. But she saw them. I know because her mother called me the next day, furious. How dare you mock my daughter publicly? I threw a party with my friends. I didn't mention her once. That banner. Those posts. You're humiliating her. She humiliated herself. I'm just living my life. She's talking about bankruptcy. Do you understand that? Yes. That's what happens when you take on $62,000 in debt you can't afford, then lose the person who is going to help pay it. You could stop all of this. Just help her with some of the money. What? I asked. Because she didn't just break up with me. She did it at brunch in front of her friends. Because she designed it for maximum humiliation? Because she put everything in her own name to prove her independence? Because she's been trying to sue me, harass me, and turn me into the villain? Because I don't reward people who treat me like garbage? Pick a reason. Her mother hung up crying. The lawsuit was dismissed last week. The judge looked at the facts, heard that she initiated the breakup, confirmed every contract was in her name, and threw it out. He even told her lawyer to advise his client to stop wasting the court's time. It cost me $9,200 in legal fees. Worth every penny. My ex tried one last approach after that. She showed up at my parents' house. My dad answered the door. According to him, she came in crying and begged him to talk sense into me. She said she was going to lose everything. She asked if my parents could give her the money because, in her words, we were basically family. I asked my dad what he said. He told me. I said, "You called off the wedding. You're not family, and my son doesn't owe you anything." Then I closed the door. "Thanks, Dad." He said, "Son, I'm proud of how you handled this. A lot of men would have caved under the pressure. You stood your ground. That meant a lot." Current status? My ex moved back in with her parents. She had to break her apartment lease, which added even more fees. She's working 2 jobs now, trying to pay down the wedding debt. Her credit is wrecked. She filed for debt consolidation, but from what I hear, it isn't looking great. Do I feel bad? Not really. She made every single choice that led to this. She chose to put the expenses in her name. She chose to call off the wedding publicly. She chose to try bullying me into paying anyway. She chose to file a ridiculous lawsuit. I simply chose not to save her from herself. As for me, I'm doing fine. I got my grandmother's ring back. I'm having it appraised, and I may sell it. I don't need the memories attached to it. My apartment is peaceful without her. I've started dating casually again. Work is going well. Financially, I'm out around $10,000 total between legal fees and the party. She's out $62,000 plus legal fees, plus moving costs, plus destroyed credit. That math works for me. Someone asked me recently if I would ever consider helping her now that everything is settled. If seeing her struggle makes me want to step in. No, not even a little, because this was never really about money. It was about respect. She disrespected me in the worst possible way, then expected me to fund the consequences of her own choices. That is not how life works. She wanted to call off the wedding. Fine. That was her right. She wanted to do it publicly at brunch. Strange choice, but okay. She wanted to put every financial responsibility on herself to prove she was independent. Bold strategy. But she doesn't get to do all of that and still get my money. She had to pick one. She picked independence. And she got it. Lesson learned. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when they try to turn their problem into your problem, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let them solve it themselves. The dodged a bullet party was a success. Best money I've spent in years. Life is good moving forward. No regrets.